Welcome to episode 10 of SWF's The Aftermath. I'm your host for this series, Chris Carnage. Last show we had a couple of intriguing things happen. The biggest news coming out of the show was Jerry Eisen announcing the main event for, I believe it's Awesome Impact. It will be a 6-man elimination chamber. In that match it will have Eric Eisen and the 4 guys that he's practically screwed out of the title for the last 2 months. Vengeance, Gilmore, Remo, Rogue, and then the main event for the last show was Brandon James versus Joey Morgan, in which Joey Morgan won after Chrissy Angel cost Brandon James another match. Earlier in that show, Brandon James told Chrissy that she would have one more chance, and it appears that she screwed that opportunity up. So we'll see what happens with that. Maybe we'll get some more news on that main event. I don't know. And then also, we saw Hollywood Brett Starr be a little bit irritated because he felt like he wasn't getting the attention he deserved. And we saw the potential reformation of the Chase Agency between Emma Chase and Paul Huntingdon. And we see Jack Bruce kind of embracing his dark side just a little bit. So without further ado, let's get into the show. We start out with Jerry Eisen opening the show. He announces the main event for tonight. It will be Gilmore, Morgan, and Valiant on the babyface team versus Remo, Rogue, and Eric Eisen for the heel team. Now we go to a Squeaky McLean versus Brett Biggins match. Squeaky McLean gets the win in 7:44 C plus 67 with his finish a stain removal. This match was just designed to get Squeaky McLean back on the winning side of things. He's kind of taken some losses the past couple of weeks. And then post-match we see Hollywood Brett Starr run in and attack Squeaky McLean. He just beats him down and then kind of stands over him and looks down at him and heads back to the backstage area. Now we have the Awesomeness facing the jobber tag team of the night with Steven Parker and local signee Ricky Turner. Now, actually, Ricky Turner in his bio mentioned that he had a tag team with Steven Parker called the A-Star Alliance, which is why they actually have a name despite him being a local talent. He was significantly below everybody else in terms of in-ring performance with a 29. So the potential that he'll get signed and this will be a semi-regular tag team is not very likely. But you know, it's nice to be able to hire somebody locally and have something built in, kind of like I did with the Hopkirk a few episodes back where Crippler attacked him. He had some history with Jack Bruce and TCW. So it's always fun when you can do stuff like that. The Awesomeness pick up the win here, just kind of building them back up after they lost their titles to the Bumpholes, who still have not made an appearance since the post-match beatdown. Speaking of which, right after the match, we see them two come on the screen, and they announce that they will return to the Land of Supreme next week. Now we see Brandon James and Chrissy Angel in the back. Brandon James is, I guess he's looking down. He's tying his loafers. He has some black slacks on, a nice black button up, and he sees the high heels of Chrissy Angel walk up, and he lets out a real heavy sigh. What the hell do you want? And then Chrissy just immediately goes in and starts trying to apologize and trying to, I guess, win Brandon James back over, but he's having none of it. He stops tying his shoes and he kind of sits up. He doesn't even look at her. He doesn't give her any respect to just look at her. He goes, you know, these last couple weeks, you know, you screwed me out of a couple of victories. You screwed me out of an opportunity to get that world title, and then you actually have the nerve to come in my locker room and speak to me. You make me sick, Chrissy. Get the hell out of my locker room. You know, matter of fact, you're fired. I don't ever want to see you again. And then he gets up and walks out of the locker room himself, shaking his head, and meanwhile Chrissy's just looking at him like unsure what the hell's going on. Like for some reason she doesn't understand why she's getting fired. Now we have Jenny Playmate in the backstage area interviewing Emma Chase with Paul Huntingdon behind her. And Jenny goes, last week we saw kind of a sneak attack on Valiant. Can you tell us what that was about? And Emma just scoffs. A sneak attack? Is that what you call it? Now let me tell you what's sneaky. What's sneaky is the fact that Valiant has more or less been the face of this company now for the past year. Ever since Jack Bruce went down with his neck injury, Valiant's been propped up to this top spot like he deserves it. You know who deserves that top spot? Paul Huntingdon. You see, Paul Huntingdon hasn't gotten any respect since I decided to go to the announce table. And that sickens me. So I had to do something about it. I decided, you know what, maybe it's time to reform the greatest group this company has ever seen. Maybe it was time to propel guys like Paul Huntingdon to the superstardom that they deserve. And that's what we're doing here. And as far as Valiant, certain people just don't deserve to be the face of a company. And when you look at Valiant, when you look at even Hannah, they don't deserve that spot. Paul Huntingdon and the Chase Agency deserve that spot. And we're going to take it. Now we have Jimmy Hernandez versus local signee Remy Sky. A little bit of backstory. I've always been a little bit of a fan of Remy Sky. I think a lot of people would look at him and immediately think Jeff Hardy, from the multicolored hair to the painted fingernails and then just his hand symbols that he's holding up here. So I like him. He does have some, I think it's soft drug issues, and he did pretty decent here. Hernandez had an in-ring performance of 68. Of course, he's one of the better guys on the roster, but Remy actually had an in-ring performance of 46, which would come to the low end. He was also really off his game. Consistency is a big issue with Remy Sky. But Hernandez picks up the win in 9:45 on a 61C via a super kick. I still forgot to look up the finish to that other move, the apparition or whatever it was. I'm really going to have to do that. But anyway, this is just basically your indie high spots match. Remy Sky was a, I'll use the word icon very loosely. He was kind of an icon for Coastal Zone Championship Wrestling. Meanwhile, Jimmy Hernandez has been in the Mid-Atlantic Wrestling, Freedom Caribbean Wrestling, and he might have been in Coastal Zone too, but I think it's just MAW and FCW. So both have quite a bit of indie experience, and they kind of have an all-out indie match. A lot of spots, a lot of flips, a lot of dives to the outside. And Hernandez picks up the victory via super kick. And wouldn't you know it, Hollywood Bret Starr runs out to the ring as Jimmy Hernandez is celebrating and lays Hernandez out. And he does the same thing he did with Squeaky. He just kind of stands over him, and then he picks him up and throws him out of the ring like a pile of garbage before grabbing a microphone. And he says, you know, I've been champion now for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks I've held this North American title. I haven't gotten any respect. I haven't gotten a match to be booked in. I haven't gotten any promo time. I have got nothing. Jerry Eisen, you don't want to give me opportunities to show everyone how great I am, to show everybody why I'm the champion. That's fine. I'll take my own opportunities. What I did to Squeaky McLean earlier, what I just did to Jimmy Hernandez, you can expect that to be the regular going forward until I get the respect that I am owed as North American champion. Then Jerry Eisen comes out. He says, Hollywood, I don't like the methods that you're using, but I do think you have a valid point. You know, you are our North American champion, and you do deserve some level of respect. And I don't believe that you have a number one contender for that title just yet. So, what we're going to do, we're going to do this the Supreme way, player. Next week, we're going to have us a number one contenders match. No idea why I just went into Teddy Long mode. So next week, here's how it's going to go down. It's going to be Jimmy Hernandez. It's going to be Squeaky McLean 1-on-1. And the winner of that match will be the number one contender to the SWF North American title. Now we have Captain Atomic versus Joe Sexy. Captain Atomic picks up the win here in a 69C plus and 936 after his finish, the Mushroom Cloud. Captain Atomic had an in-ring performance of 66, Sexy with the 65, so pretty even match. What I find a little bit weird is when you think of Joe Sexy, you don't think necessarily a good in-ring worker. You think more of a, or at least I do, you think more about the gimmick-related aspects of his character, and then also his entertainment skills are pretty solid. But what's kind of surprising is with Captain Atomic, I think he's more of a kind of a heavyweight brawler. So a 66 in ring from him is a little bit surprising. I do like Captain Atomic. I've actually been watching a lot of the Hurricane lately. You know, the green-haired guy with the fucking green mask and the cape that thinks he's a superhero, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of, I guess, kind of the inspiration between this little victory. I don't want to necessarily call it a little mini push. I don't know exactly where I'm going to go with it. I'm definitely not going to go the Hurricane route where it's a lot of comedic elements. Atomic, I believe, is an upper mid-card. And to me, comedy spots just aren't, you know, you don't use those for an upper mid-card. So anyway, Atomic gets the win here. And after this match, Jerry Eisen comes back out. And he goes, you know, it dawned on me. I've been making matches all night, seemingly. And, I made a number one contenders for the North American title match just a few moments ago. So I think it's time that we announce our main event next week. We're going to have Eric Eisen, my brother, versus Captain Atomic in the main event. And Atomic looks like he's just thrilled. He's excited. He gets a shot with the world champion. And you got to know that Eric Eisen is not pleased about this. He has to defend his title in an elimination chamber in just 2 weeks. And he has to take part in a 6-man tag match tonight. And then he has a one-on-one match with Captain Atomic, all while he's nursing an injury. So now we have Jenny Playmate interviewing the Crippler. And Jenny's asking him, Crippler, we've seen over the last couple of months different Jack Bruce than we're used to. What's your thoughts on that? And the Crippler just looks at her, and I've known Jack for a while. I've never seen him like this. This isn't the Jack Bruce that everybody knows. He's evil. He's not even trying to defeat me. He's trying to hurt me. He's trying to maim me. He's trying to end my career. I don't understand what would possess him to do such a thing. And just at that moment, Jack Bruce walks up. And he looks at Jenny, takes the microphone from her, and kind of gives her a very light shove, not to hurt her, not to disrespect her, just to kind of let her know, like, shit might get real. Get the fuck out of here. And for once, Crippler's actually not backing down. It's almost as if Crippler feels his pride is on the line here. Maybe he feels his ego is on the line, as Jack Bruce has just been fucking beating the shit out of him the last couple of months. And while Crippler's winning the battles, you kind of get the sense that he's losing the war, and I think he feels that way too. So he stands strong face to face with Jack Bruce. Bruce pulls the microphone to his mouth. "You're damn right I'm trying to hurt you, Crippler. You tried to end my career. You dropped me on my neck. And what's funny is, you're not the first person to do something like this. You see, I've been here for a long time. I've been at the top of this company for a long time. I'm used to people coming after me. It comes with the spot. I've had Eisen come after me. Rich Money has come after me. Remo's come after me. The list of people who have come after me are countless. Hell, it's a who's who of everybody in this company right now. But one thing I never thought, Crippler, is that somebody that I considered a friend would come after me. You and I have traveled the world together in this company for, what, a decade now? We've been friends, we've helped each other out. And then you turn your back on me, you turn your back on the fans, and you drop me on my head. You almost ended my career. We're gonna have one more match. And not only will I beat you this time, but I'm going to break you. There will be no disqualifications. There will be no countouts. The only way to win this match is going to be when the other person cannot answer a 10 count. You and I will have a last man standing match. And I will be the last man standing over your lifeless body. And then Bruce walks out. So we have a last man standing match between Bruce and the Crippler. And that will likely be the end of their feud, as they have fucking awful chemistry. But kind of with the backstory, with what Crippler did to Bruce, I didn't just want to scrap the storyline just because of their terrible chemistry. I wanted to play it out and, then maybe move them away from each other. So now we have our main event of the evening in an 82B. Yeah, that's concerning. Gilmore, Morgan, and Valiant defeated Remo, Rogue, and Eisen in 2043 when Joey Morgan defeated Eric Eisen by pinfall with an Empire Spiral. We also had Paul Huntingdon run in and attack Valiant during the match. A lot to look at for this match. Hannah got some good work at ringside. Eric Eisen's injury that he had to work through took a big toll. And Remo was pretty far above everybody else at an 84. Gilmore at a 77. Valiant at a 75. And then the two people involved in the fall of the match, Joey Morgan and Eric Eisen at a 72. Rogue at a 73. So a lot going on in this match. First we'll cover the interference. Paul Huntingdon comes out rather late in the match and pulls Valiant off the apron and just throws him into the steel steps, and then gets a couple of kicks in while Emma Chase is distracting the referee, effectively taking him out of the match. But as I stated, towards the end of the match, so it didn't have a lot of impact on the outcome. It was more just to add a little bit more heat to their feud. Remo in this match shone really well, as evidenced by having the best in-ring performance by 7 points. Sorry about that, my computer went haywire. So anyway, Remo kind of runs through everybody. Pretty much beats down the entire team before, we'll say Gilmore kind of takes him out of the match and over the rope clothesline. Rogue is kind of on the outside, kind of observing what's going on with Emma Chase and Paul Huntingdon and Valiant. as Rogue used to be an associate of the Chase agency, so he kind of takes himself out of the match a little bit. Meanwhile, Joey Morgan and Eric Eisen are in the ring. The young upstart, well, fairly young, and Joey Morgan, new to the main event scene, and the world champion. Eric Eisen tries to get in a cheap shot while the referee is turned. Joey Morgan counters into his finish, and the referee turns around to count the 3. So Joey Morgan picks up the victory here over the world champ. And you gotta wonder, is that going to happen to close out the pay-per-view? Will Eric Eisen have his shoulders pinned to the mat and lose his world title? Will Joey Morgan, new to the company, win the title over the likes of Remo, Rogue, Gilmore, and Vengeance? A lot of talking points coming out of this show. Man, that is a terrible show rating. Terrible show rating. I'm going to have to look into that, see what we can do to improve the show a little bit. While I don't necessarily care about ratings a whole lot, ratings of 69 aren't really going to cut it out of like at least mid-50s. I don't know, we may try to do things like perhaps turn storyline effects off. I don't think that would drag down the show rating so much, but the last 2 segments of the show were an 82 and a 74. So I don't know, it may have a big impact on it, I'm not too sure. But that's all for this episode. Like it, leave a comment, let me know what you thought about it. And then we will be back next week for another edition of Supreme TV. I believe we have 2 episodes left before the pay-per-view. The bump holes will return. We'll see maybe a little bit more of the build for the last man standing match, the feud ender. We also have Captain Atomic versus Eric Eisen in the main event, and a #1